let's get started. Right, colleagues.
I'm here.
Right, our chief officer just mentioned to me that we've a special confidential item that we need to slot in at the end of the meeting. Councillor Rogers?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to propose that we could do that and have a seconder, please.
I've got a seconder.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, you're seconding. Councillor Rogers, all those in favour? Good, thank you. Thank you very much. Right, now. This meeting has been recorded and will be uploaded onto Middletown Council's YouTube pages. The aim is that the decision-making should be as transparent as possible and in the public domain, which will involve more of our community in local democracy. By being in this council chamber, you are consenting to being recorded and for your image to be added to YouTube. The images and sound may be used for training purposes. Any views expressed are the speaker's own and do not necessarily reflect the view of Middletown Council. Please view the guidance on recording in public meetings policy if you need any more information. Thank you very much. Now, apologies.
I think just Councillor Jones, unless anybody's.
Councillor Jones is the way, right? Okay. Now, declarations of interest. Anything disclosable pecuniary interests? Any? No. Other interests? No. No. Thank you. We'll move on. May I approve and sign the minutes of the Recreation Amenities Committee held on the 8th of July?
Move it, Chair.
Move it. Thank you. Seconder? Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. Right. So that's the end of the meeting. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Cooking with gas. Receive an update on the bus hub developments. Chief Officer, I'm very interested in this.
Well, there's a massive amount to inform you about, but I just wanted to keep you in the loop, really. So we talked quite a number of months ago about the county council's ambitions as regards the bus service improvement programme. So that was funding that they would get from central government to improve various aspects of transport within the county area. So they were allocated some funding, and part of that work was to enhance our bus hub here. So we've made the commitment, and there's been some discussions about this by the transport working group, that we would ensure that they had sufficient electrical kind of connections within the bus hub, but then the county would install Adrian will tell me better about this, Mr. Mayor, but real-time information systems and boards to enable people to know when the next bus was approaching and that kind of thing. Because we'd said previously, I think most are aware that the bus hub is actually quite useless if you were waiting for a bus in there because you can't see the bus that's approaching. By the time you know which one it is, it's probably gone anyway. So enhancing the experience using the facility properly. So I've chased that up recently. There is some procurement activity going on within the county council. I have offered our support in terms of making that work. But as part of the proposal, they wanted to add a new enhanced bus stop outside the Sainsbury's area, but move it slightly down closer to the bus hub. And then this bus stop that's currently in situ outside Sainsbury's would then be moved to replace the one further down Wharf Road where they constantly get kicked in and it just looks a mess. So it would enhance that experience as well. There's no reason they think why they can't carry on with that work whilst they go through the procurement activity with regards to the activity in the bus stop. So I've said, because we'd spoken about it previously, that we would be happy to support that. And obviously any kind of procurement activity, if we can assist with that as well, we will.
Of course, yeah.
So moving forward slowly with developments of the bus hub, making it a usable facility, but it's still a positive picture.
Yeah, they've got one of those repeating signs, electric signs, at the North Staffs at Stoke Royal. And you have to walk down the road to the bus stop, but it tells you when the buses are coming, which their numbers are, when their estimated time of arrival and all that sort of thing. Councillor Yates.
Yeah, just wondering, I mean, have you got assurances that this is actually going to go ahead? I mean, there's so many county projects which have stagnated recently that, you know, Levi project being one of them, the electric vehicle infrastructure, that was a massive government grant and that's been put on hold for some unfathomable reason. You know, we've got capital projects which haven't even started yet. I mean, is there any confidence that we'll be doing work without the county fully committing to it?
I am not aware that that's going to be an issue. I am keeping a very firm grasp of that situation to try and make that as straightforward as possible. Clearly, if they've been allocated from central government for this prescribed list of activities, well, I assume someone on central government that's going to ask what the delivery timetable is for that. So my hope would be that they just need to kind of, I believe, go through some process with cabinet and signing of procurement processes. So if normal processes continue, that should move forward.
Use it or lose it.
That's the law.
Councillor Lawton.
Just picking up on this point of missing out. I think I'm right to say, am I not, Sarah, that they said that the availability of a new shelter and therefore their willingness to install a new shelter and to cascade the other shelter to lower down Wharf Road to replace the damaged one.
Yeah.
Would be able to go ahead in a more timely way, independently of the information.
I believe that's not tied to the same procurement issues that they've got with regards to the electrical equipment anyway.
There's a detail.
I've kept pressing the officers of the county because actually if we are going to rewire certain aspects of the bus up, we can't just do that, you know, for the next day. You know, if they say we need to know what the timetable is for delivering that. So I'll continue to update.
Okay, thank you very much for that. That's a very, very useful update indeed. And have we managed to sort out the roof, the ceiling?
I don't want to jinx it, but it seems that the current fix has been a more effective fix
Right.
than previously.
Well, originally, when it was being built, the actual roof was put on in the night. Because a lady who lived opposite, complained bitterly that they were still working on it at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Perhaps why it's leaked.
That's probably why it's leaked. Not to worry. Okay, thank you very much. Any further comments from anybody? No?
Yeah.
Councillor
Is
Casey.
there a real-time bus thing going to be put on the shelter in Wharf Road for the Congleton bound buses?
The intention at the moment, if I may, Chair, is just to enhance the bus hub. We'd had some discussions about there being some additional funds for something that sounds similar to that, a number of locations within the town, but they haven't identified those locations yet. They'd have to be well used, I think. So we've had some initial discussions about that, but that hasn't moved forward just at the moment yet. The main focus for us is the bus hub.
Yes.
Also, I've got reservations about moving the bus shelter nearer to the bus stop, because for people getting off who want to go to Sainsbury's, who might be disabled and not too good on their legs, it's very convenient for them to get off close to Sainsbury's, and then when they've done their shopping, they can get back onto a bus fairly easily, rather than to have to walk further down the road.
I think, if I may again,
Yes, of
sorry,
course.
I think the idea was that if you were waiting in the bus hub and you knew your bus was coming, then you wouldn't have far to walk to then stand under the shelter to wait for your bus. And also, it is a bus shelter and a bus hub for the whole town, not just for Sainsbury's, isn't it? So it needs to be, the kind of ideas need to link together in terms of where you wait and where you go after you've got off or on bus. People might head the other way.
Thank you very much. So positive move forward.
Hopefully.
Yes. Next agenda item, receive an update on Moorless Partnership World funding for damaged memorials at the churchyard and progress with repairs. Chief Officer.
It's just a verbal update on this. We were fortunate to be granted funding from Moorless Partnership Board for the repair of the most damaged and oldest headstones within the burial ground that had failed the previous memorial inspection. So obviously there's match funding that's needed as part of the Moorlands Partnership Board kind of grants programme, so we're prepared for that. But it's nice that the town council doesn't have to have the whole burden of the expense of repair of those. And actually, as part of the repair of those headstones, there'll be we'll make those stronger, and we'll kind of keep the heritage that's associated with those going for longer as well. One of the activities that we want to just make sure we do to ensure that we comply with the faculty there is to put a small advert. They stipulate that the advert has to be in the Sentinel. To put a small advert in the Sentinel to draw people's attention to the fact that those memorials need repair, just in case it's possible to trace previous family members. The church have attempted to do that, and we've attempted to do that, but the faculty is quite particular that we have to place an advert in the Sentinel. So we will do that just to ensure we comply with the faculty, but preparing to move forward with that.
Councillor Rogers.
Yes, Chair, it's one I've mentioned many a time, the one by the little gate on the main road.
Yeah,
That's, if that ever went over, it's leaning really, really badly, as you know. And if that cross fell, it must be 8 foot tall, 6, 7, 8 foot tall, isn't it? If that fell and broke, never to be replaced, that's urgent to do that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any hope of finding any relatives from that. It's from year dot, isn't it, that one, yeah.
My mother-in-law was about 5 feet away from that one.
Yes, that's one of them, and the one next to it is one of them as well. So that work there will be both the safety.
I hate to see that
restoration.
when it's very close to going.
Yeah, agreed. That's one of them. But yes, we haven't been able to track down, and the church's records actually don't go back that far.
I can't remember. I have looked at the dates and I forgot. It's a long time to look back, so it goes back a long way.
Right, we'll move on. No further speakers on this. We'll move on. Receive an update in relation to the development of the new garden remembrance at Woodhouse Burial Ground.
Okay, so there's two aspects to this. This has become something of a frustration. It's our next capital project, as we're drawing to the close of one of our projects. We don't have many spaces left now at the town burial ground, and as I think you'll be aware, our planning permission was approved for the installation of a new garden at the Woodhouse burial ground site. Unfortunately, with that planning permission came a number of conditions associated with biodiversity net gain and how we would meet our environmental obligations. Is a frustration for us, and I think the planning team, because actually what we're doing is getting rid of some grass rather than, it's mown grass as well. It's not, doesn't have a great deal of value in terms of that environment.
Yes,
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, so it's the actions I've taken so far are that following the last committee meeting here, we've instructed the quantity surveyor to complete a feasibility document, which should tell us the cost we expect for the three different levels of kind of development. So we put that into a kind of stage one being the first area, which would have a number of graves, and then beyond that. So he's going to complete that for us. I understand that will be due with us for next Monday. Alongside that, I've also had a meeting with the architect, Staffordshire Wildlife Trust, and the planning officer to talk about the issues and how we can discharge the conditions with regards to biodiversity net gain. It seems very much as though we will have to instruct an ecologist to support us with that process. And I've sought some advice on a number of ecologists and having discussions with them at the moment in order to try and do that. So I don't see as we have much of an option if we want to progress with the planning application and to get to the bottom of that. That certainly seems to be what we've been asked to do by the big planning department as well. So when I've got some quotes on what that will cost us, to bring those to it might be, if I can move it forward more quickly, it might be that I bring those to the finance committee rather than waiting to come back to this committee, if you're happy with that.
Councillor Pridle.
Yeah, the district council just lost a planning appeal for Biddulph. The reason they lost the appeal, is the non-determination of the application. That's why the applicants appealed. But one of the items of contention was addressed by a diversity net gain. So I would maybe suggest that the consultant team have a look at that planning appeal, and how the inspector directed them to address it. And obviously we've got their consent now, and there is an agreed method to address BNG. Because what strikes me, this particular appeal, it was to do with the installation of a menage, but the grassland was, well, there was no grass there. So I think part of the argument was, well,
There's nothing.
yeah.
Jackson.
Yeah, I think I can remember some of the figures that were bandied about at the last sort of meeting that we had. It seems to me that anybody that's got collegist at the end of the title puts the decimal point 1 point to the right or the left, whichever makes it more expensive. I think the plans that we've got for there are really exciting. And I think the pressure's now really getting on, obviously. I don't know how many, but we did sort of have an indication how many urns are backing up now because people want to go into the new one. Quite a number. So once we get this up and running, there's going to be a sizable bit of work. And some of it's going to be filled. It'll give the impression, I think, that it's getting filled up quite quickly because I think some people have been waiting like 2 years for this. If you think how many people may have died, and that it gives you some idea of the potential, the number of people who are backing up at the moment. But having said that, I think now we've got this little job at the front cleared off. Our staff can go hell for leather onto this next project and get it done. So.
Thank you. Councillor Pridle, you want to come back?
Yeah, if I could just quickly come back. I'm happy to pick up a conversation with Ben Hayward if that.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful for me. Obviously, this isn't my world, really. I'm happy to kind of put people in touch and to kind of have conversations. But if I send you the email that we had from Staffordshire Wildlife Trust, which says what we need to do, and you can have a look, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Without putting too much burden on you. I think another set of eyes would be useful.
Right, thank you very much for doing that. Anybody else wish to speak? No? Right, we'll move on. What will you? Staffordshire Bowls aren't the only one who are losing appeals on very, very tight new ground. Big Park lost 7 out of 8 recently. I saw a report on Friday that absolutely astounded me. How many, were these incorrect decisions made by officers or by the committee or whatever it may be? But a lot of appeals are being allowed by Bristol at the moment.
You want to see what's going to planning applications committee on Thursday?
Need them start.
Oh dear, won't discuss that. But preempt. I'm sure it's got lots of controversy to attach to it. Jobs for the Linksman. Who's got jobs for the Linksman?
Road hedge.
County.
Jobs for Mike Broom.
I'm sure I'll take a photograph and send it to him.
That's a good idea, Councillor Kasiki.
Yeah, I mean,
Yates.
yes, thank you, Jay. It is easy to say county. The reality of it is that we traditionally have been paying our good money for jobs which other councils should be doing, and we've put some pressure on to do that. obviously, there was a reasonable degree of success that's waned recently, but I think it's just a case of reminding them on. They don't seem to be able to sort of take a job on as a routine job. We mow lawns as a routine job, so why don't they trim hedgerows back and things as a routine job? I'm pleased to say that Staffordshire Moorlands District Council, come 1st of September, 2nd of September, they cut the hedgerow nice, neat, short back and sides on Halls Road, and that meets the, fits in with the legislation and criteria for protecting bird life with a moratorium up until the 31st of August. So that was very efficiently done. We need the county to step up and do the job of which our council taxpayers pay.
Thank you, councillor Yates. Any others? Councillor Rogers?
Yeah, I'm not sure without asking the chief officer if it's Lenson or what really, but the old controversial footpath to Craft Gardens. I went across there the other day and it's quite ambly and spiky and getting overgrown. Who's in charge of that one now?
Rise Wood one.
Yeah.
Between Halls Road, wow, that's not.
Just say it wants pointing in the right direction, really wants a bit of attention, that one does.
Councillor Smith?
Speaking of gullies and ginnels and such, the one between Woodland Street, Slater Street, that cuts through to
Edgeview Court.
Edgeview Court. And I know that's a really contentious one because no one knows who is responsible for it. I think,
Sure.
I know we said it was your housing, but we've never been able to get to the bottom of it. And historically, the Lensmans just cut back some of the overgrown brambles and things. And it's a really well-used school route as well.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, councillor Jackson, I seem to remember that's a Moorlands housing one. Your housing. Councillor Yates?
Yeah, I'm just wondering on things like this, whether it's, because the Moorlands housing transfer wasn't that long ago in the scheme of things, so it should be in the land registry who owns, yeah. The reason I say that is that anecdotal, would you believe the opposite side, Biddle Valley Park, as it runs along the bottom end of Moorland Road, Moorlands Housing, up until very recently, as in the last couple of months, owned a 1 metre strip of that to the curb, which has caused no end of problems with the power supply to upgrading the power supply to Biddle Valley Leisure Centre to help in its future proofing. And we've had to effectively buy it back, as in Staffordshire Moorlands, have had to effectively buy it back from your housing. Obviously, as a peppercorn, I'm just wondering whether we backdate a 20-year bill for mowing it 4 times a year, which they haven't obviously been doing. But that comes into the same problem as Lensman Service doing jobs for the county. Staffordshire Moorlands have been doing jobs for your housing. We need to identify, and it's a difficult job, who is responsible for these lands and send them, perhaps even send them a statement at the beginning of the year to say, reminder, pump.
Councillor Proudwood?
Yeah,
Councillor?
I recall your housing last summer, I think it was, pledging that they were going to put together a schedule of all of the sort of non-housing related assets that they own. I think I will give them a bit of a nudge on that.
Andy,
Yeah, I know that
right, disown
Yeah.
the flats. It's in on.
Councillor Smith?
Just to know, and I don't know if this is helpful, if we ever had any feedback, but the Youth and Community Zone did a piece of work on all the gullies and alleyways at the beginning of the summer, what condition they were in, and presumably who was responsible for looking after them and how well used they were. Did we ever get any feedback from that? Can we
You
feed
did.
into, try and get some information?
I've asked for that report several times and it's never been forthcoming.
So we'll keep an eye out for that one.
I think you'll be lucky.
We're lucky.
Do you know who commissioned the work? Can we go straight to the whoever commissioned that project to be done?
No, I did. I think
Did it?
Gareth Napper.
I think it was part of UK Shared Prosperity, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Point of information, Chair, for me, it was done because we had a specific pot of UK shared prosperity funding for the improvement of footpaths. So it's seen as an opportunity to actually tidy up some of these ones which have been neglected for years because nobody's got any ownership. In reality, quite a few footpaths were done, which included the resurfacing the part of the Biddle Valley Way. I think the administration and risk just proved too much to get owners' permissions in some case. Had it come to the 11th hour, where can we actually spend the money, because they weren't getting the permissions back to actually do the work, and that was one of the frustrations. It's one thing to say you've got money to do, but you couldn't go next door and mow his lawn for him without sort of, he'd raise an eyebrow, wouldn't he, even if you wanted it mowing, I suppose. And that was one of the issues. You still need that permission to actually go on the land and do that, and that caused, and then as we all know, with UK Shared Prosperity, it comes up to a hard stop if it isn't spent. So we did make sure we spent money, and we spent it in Biddle, but it perhaps wasn't the outcome which we originally envisaged with that Ginnell report.
May I just say?
Yeah, yes, of course.
I absolutely understand the issues with funding. I think for me, it's, if there's a report that impacts on Biddle for not impacts on our work, it's really helpful to see it, because sometimes we're able to access parts of money that the district can't, or we know of ways to get those done, or we know the landowners.
I think we'll get over a copy of that report.
It would just be useful, because then it can be on everyone's to-do list, can't it?
I'll email him now.
Councillor Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about it, it's probably a piece of work that probably needs looking at with the local government reorganisation. But I've got a real concern that when Staffordshire Moorland District Council disappears, outfits like Your Housing that had legacy agreements with that organisation think they can ride off into the ether. So I think that's a real piece of work that needs sorting out, is where their responsibility lies now with the new organisation, whatever the new unitary, or whether it's going to be lower down at our level. I think it's really important, because the whole sell-off was sort of done in a mad rush. And Moorlands Housing were having a piece of land they didn't know they were having, and I think the district council didn't know they were giving it them. And it was such a rush to get the thing through at a deadline. It was really muddled, and it was years and years after them finding out that Your Housing did have a responsibility for that. I've been dealing with an issue on St John's Road over the last few months, and they tried to deny ownership of where the mosaic is on the front of the flats. All overgrown, and it's not really ours. I said, bloody well, it is yours, because you put the fencing round, and you lose this knowledge and information over time. And if it's not written down somewhere, it gets lost, and they get away without the responsibility, and somebody else then has to pick it up.
Yeah, the Staffordshire Moorlands did a piece of work on what they thought they owned a few years ago, and I think it's like something like, Councillor Prowell, can you? It's just been 460 different little bits of land.
Yeah, it's just been refreshed.
Yes.
That'll be handy.
Yeah, but if you go to a neighbouring authority to us, their property services is in such a mess. They've got leases that are like 20 years out of date, and people are still paying rents from 2004. I know this because I used to know the officer from that authority that used to deal with it, and he was pulling his hair out. But thank you very much for that. I'm going to move into confidential now.
Thank you.
And that is basically under the Admission to Meetings Act. And we'll be discontinuing. Thank you very much, members of the public, for listening to us.